Hello, everybody, and welcome to Unfiltered with Roxy. I'm your host, Roxy and and I have a special guest slash friend. Can I call you friend?
Sure. Of course.
I only say that because I'm with Nia Jones, and her business is a principal at onpurposewithnia.com.
I'm the principal
consultant
at On Purpose.
Okay, before when I knew her before, it was just On Purpose with Nia. Now she's doing a lot of other things, so I'm so glad that she's with us today. But I was just making fun of you because you always would tell me that you're not like the fuzzy wuzzy person.
Still not.
And I just would always be like, no, I gotta make you be fuzzy wuzzy. That's not good. That's not a good boundary. It's like, no, I'm not. Yes, you are. But today, I'm so glad that she's able to talk to us because you're also a therapist. And one of the things that I think, well, I guess we go through waves of it that you've mastered is self-care. So that's why I wanted to ask you to talk to us a little bit about that. And the topic today is self-care isn't selfish, it's essential.
Yeah.
And to start off, I think it would be helpful. What is self-care to you? Because I know a lot of times people think self-care is bubble baths, getting expensive nail stuff, maybe getting an expensive outfit. But what is real self-care?
I mean, I think, first of all, I think it's time for us all to admit that getting your nails is not relaxing.
It's not
at all.
Those fumes are toxic.
The fumes are toxic. People are yelling. Depending on where you go, there's somebody's kids running around.
Yeah.
Like it's not relaxing. It is a form of caring for yourself.
Oh, I forgot. We didn't toast.
Oh yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, guys. We're gonna have a good show.
We're gonna have a great show. I had to take a sip first. So I think it is a form of caring for yourself, right?
Yeah.
So like I always tell people, especially if I go into the office and I'm like completely overdressed for the occasion, and it's like everybody else is in khakis and a shirt and I'm in a full-on dress that's like flowy,
heels for you,
makeup, right? Like, and they're like, Nia, why'd you get so overdressed today? And I was so dressed up today, and I'm like, I have to dress better than I feel.
Yeah.
And so getting your nails done is just that, right? Like it's the thing that people do to help themselves for their outward appearance to maybe feel a little bit better, feel put together, right? Yeah. Things like that. In terms of the definition of self-care, I think that it's a lot. There's kind of like two sides of it, and so I always explain it in this way that it's like a restaurant experience, and there's your fast food experience. Either way, you're giving yourself nourishment in some way, right? And so self-care is really around doing that, doing what makes you feel good about yourself, what gives yourself some energy to kind of continue to push through, because life is going to life, right? It's going to beat up on you. And so it's that time that you take to pause to care for yourself. Now, it depends on how quickly you do it or how much you need. And so there are times when you're hungry and you go through the drive-thru at Chick-fil-A, you get your food. By the time you hit the next light, your fries are gone.
Yeah.
Right.
And so you don't remember eating them.
You don't remember eating them. It's just like, I needed to eat something really quickly so I can get to my next thing.
Yeah.
I think I will put getting your nails done, getting your hair done, things like that in that category. The type of self-care that I think that we should all be more intentional about and focus on is that restaurant experience where you're filling your own cup often. Or you're going to a house of worship and having them fill your cup. Yeah. You are spending time with friends and they're helping to fill your cup. You're journaling, you're going to therapy. Yeah. You're doing that thing that you need to do to recenter yourself and care for yourself. And so it has gotten a little trite over the last 4 years. Yeah. Especially with the pandemic, right? Like everybody was like, I need to do some self-care, I need to do self-care. And it's like, okay, what does that really mean? It's a really, really American thing for sure. But certainly the facts are that we all need to do things that fill our cup. What does that look like for you? Maybe different from someone else.
I really love what you said about dressing better than you feel, because I think a lot of times I'm in a position where you can wear whatever you want to work. Mm-hmm. And my colleague, she's in a transition period where she's losing weight.
Mhm.
And she was telling me, oh, no, I'm not going to buy new clothes, blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, Carrie, I think you really need to buy the clothes so you can feel good. Because then she can see her progress.
Right.
But also, like, I had that experience with her. She's like, oh, no, you don't have to get dressed up to be here. And I was new then. Like, it was like day 1 or 2. And I was like, oh, she just doesn't know. I feel like crap today. I had to put I had full face. I had my cute little shoes because I was in a low place. And that, oh, let me put on my nice stuff because I don't need to just save it for
whatever.
Somebody
breakfast
said, like,
with
going out with
Beyonce.
Oprah or something. Yeah, like, no, you could just use your good stuff, use your good perfume.
Yeah.
My son had told me that. He was like, oh, you have all these perfume here. Why aren't you using them? And I was like, oh, I don't want to waste them. And he was like,
they don't last forever.
When you gonna put them up? So now it's like I put my stuff. You'll see me just because that's like something that I enjoy. But did you know this? Fun fact: you're not old enough to know this yet, but that perfume can change your hormones, can affect your hormone.
Oh dear.
Because it's like a signal that goes to your brain.
No,
but anyway,
women in my family are doomed. Do we?
I was like, and somebody was like, oh, you know, that affects your hormones. It was like on the news when I was doing it, and I was like,
the women in my family are doomed. Like,
because I think it's such a big part of getting dressed.
It's a big thing, especially for women of color.
Yeah.
Like, how you smell is a big freaking deal. You don't want to be stinky, right? Everything goes back to slavery, right? Were they giving us perfumes back then?
Not even combs.
No. And so we've had to figure it out with different oils and ways of being. And, you know, you have to put lard on your skin to stay moisturized long enough. When you finally get free, you're gonna want something that smells good. So but
that reminds me of a lot of the things that are ingrained in us are even before us.
Absolutely.
It's like, even I'm thinking my mom would always have like this best skin and stuff. And I think it's because she grew up and didn't have any of that.
Yeah.
So it's like she purposed to, I'm going to have at least this. This is something I can do.
Absolutely. I tell people all the time that, you know, growing up and, you know, I consider my parents were working class.
Yeah.
And so if we didn't have anything else, we were going to smell good.
Right.
Our clothes were going to be clean. And we were going to represent ourselves in a certain way when we left the house.
Yeah.
Some of that was in like respectability politics to get people to treat you a little bit better if you look better. But I think that,
which is bullcrap. We should treat people good
completely.
Because,
Exactly. But steeped in slavery and Jim Crow South, when you step out of here, you're going to smell good and you're going to look good.
You're so smart. You know what?
Thank you.
For some of our busy listeners out there, I know self-care can seem like a lot. What are some of the things that they could do every day to like have that kind of baked in? Because when we talk about filling your cup, it's not just a gush. It's not just turn on the pipe and have it.
Self-care on tap.
Like, no, we want it to be that easy, that fast food experience. But I think one of the things that we miss in that is it costs money to get your nails done.
Yeah.
And the after effects of just doing the quick stuff is it can add up. So if I bought an outfit, if it's an expensive outfit, now I didn't pay something, and now it kind of isn't self-care anymore.
Right. I think a couple things, and I mean, just speaking from experience and things that I've coached clients to do, I have only met one person my entire life that didn't like music, right? So everybody has their specific genre, right? But you have that thing that kind of gets you up and gets you moving. Turn on YouTube.
Yeah.
I hope you have an iPhone, right? You have Apple Music, right?
We hope you are Team
iPhone. You have Apple Music, right? Turn the music on and turn it up.
Yeah.
Right? Like that, a free party by yourself. Yeah. And so many of us have speakers and sound systems in our home spaces. And even if you don't, Five Below has a little teeny speaker that's $5. Put that in your bathroom. Turn on your favorite song. Get you some candles, whether you got them from TJ Maxx or Bath and Body Works or wherever. Or lay libo if you decide to spend a whole bunch of money in a candle. 0 stars, don't recommend the candles at Lay Libo, but love Lay Libo. Light that candle, turn out the lights in your bathroom, and take a shower. Right? That cost you nothing because you were going to bathe. At least I hope. Anyways, you have the music app anyway, and if you didn't have the app, you at least have access to internet or YouTube or something to play some music. Take a long shower. Get out of the shower. Put your pajamas on. Turn on. YouTube has this thing. Where you can either see like a fireplace or you can hear a beach sound waves. Yeah.
That's what I love.
And just relax.
So you're the one who taught me that.
Soundscapes. What's up?
Even about lo-fi music. Do you remember you were like, yeah. Well, you were like teaching a group and you were talking about lo-fi music. And I was like, excuse me, teacher, what is lo-fi beats? And you were like, oh, it's like good for your mental health because the frequency, or I don't know if you said frequency, but you were just like the sounds are like soothing. Yeah. You can listen to it in the background and it's not like that hype for your system.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And so if you could just take that 15 minutes for yourself, right? Even if you have children, at some point they gotta, the little monsters gotta go to sleep, right?
Or you make them stay in the bed.
Or you make them stay in the bed.
Hello. Stay in that bed. I don't care what the hell you do up there. They remember me saying
for the next 15 minutes, I couldn't care less what you do. Just don't burn the house down, right? Shut your door and take that time for yourself. It costs you nothing.
Yeah.
I think that's one thing. Another thing I recommend is journaling. Just writing it out, whether that is on a piece of paper or in a notebook or sometimes even in your phone. That, you know, I know a lot of people don't journal, especially people of color, right? Everything is going to come back to Black people, right? But you weren't allowed to have secrets, right? You weren't allowed to have things that, like how all the other teenagers on TV had their locked diaries, right? That you weren't closing the door in your mama's house. You weren't going to have a locked diary. And so now kind of like you're traumatized into writing down your thoughts and thinking that somebody's going to discover it.
Right.
Your phone, it knows your face, or
and maybe that did happen to somebody.
And maybe it did happen to me.
Yeah.
And so your phone knows your face. It has a passcode on it. There's a notes app on everybody's phone. Just quickly type it out. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb so that no emails come rolling through. Right. That's another really good self-care tip. I do not take any phone calls except from my top, I think it's like 6 people after 10:30. So my phone automatically goes on to Do Not Disturb. I don't get any emails from work. I don't get any text messages except from those 5 people. I don't get any phone calls unless it's an emergency. If you call me twice, right? Like it's going to come through. But that is self-care, right? Like I put a boundary between myself and the world. I'm not getting any updates from Instagram or any of the other apps. All of these are free. I haven't told you to spend a dime yet outside of what you already do, right? Like you already pay your cell phone bill, assuming that you have one. You already have your music and your little speaker. Those things are key. Now, if you want to spend some extra money, at one point at the height of my self-care experience, I was doing therapy once a week. I got massages once a week, and I went to the chiropractor once a week. Oh, wow. And so going to a chiropractor actually kind of unlocks something in your brain that when they are getting the air out of your spine, you just think clearer. And so I had a monthly subscription to The Joint. It's a place here in, I don't know if they're everywhere, but here in Maryland, it's like a franchise of chiropractors. And doing those 3 things every week on top of taking my medication felt absolutely amazing. And at the time I was also like doing a lot with like CBD and other essential oils and things like that. And so now that costs money, right? Like that is certainly a middle class, upper class situation that's going to cost you quite a bit. But those are the opposite ends of the spectrum, depending on, you know, what you have time for and what you can do.
And I think the important thing about, you said middle class, that's funny because I don't consider myself that, but I guess so, because I do have the extra, and before I would spend the extra maybe on, fitness clothes, just little silly stuff that used to at one point make me feel good, but then after a while I had to really think what would serve me better. So now it's like going to therapy. I have my gym membership, and that's a non-negotiable for me because I want to be able to go out of my house, just work out, go to the pool. And I had to like really think about what I wanted to do as self-care. And you also said something else that was really good about unlocking the air. I think a lot of times, and you had taught me this about The Body Keeps the Score. That's a great book for people to check out when you're on your healing journey, because our stress and trauma gets
stuck,
locked in our bodies. So like you're saying, the air releases. I didn't even think about that as a modality for healing and self-care when we're going through.
Absolutely. It's really big, right? The Body Keeps the Score is a groundbreaking book by a author. I think his name is Bessel van der Kolk. I believe that's
something
his name.
like that. Yeah.
But did a lot of research around veterans and their experience with PTSD,
and women that had went through incest.
Correct.
Which I think is interesting because the way they had processed their trauma was so similar.
Very similar. Yeah. The effects of PTSD, whether it is sexual assault or a car accident or war or racialized violence and terrorism, all show up exactly the same way. It is the same symptoms over and over again.
Sit in that for a second.
Right.
Because some of those things, like, yes, when you go to war, you know that you may not know. I feel like no one can even imagine the things that they would see or go through. But like a kid does not expect that their dad or mom is going to violate them. Like, we don't expect when we're walking down the street to be harassed, possibly assaulted, possibly maimed from experiencing a police officer or anything, because sometimes you don't know how things are going to escalate.
Right.
And I'm just saying that to the point. I was at a game, a kickball game. Seems harmless, right? Everyone's going there to have fun. But all of a sudden it was a whole upset thing about race. And I just remember being like stressed out, like, okay, is this going to escalate to something else? I need to go. I need to pull my husband from what he's doing because he's getting upset at this point. But it's like living in America, little stuff. And they call it microaggressions, but it's not like that micro.
They're not micro.
Because why did you go there? Why did that person go there? Why? And then all the people that are allies supposedly just standing around, and you're just like,
right. Mine is
so it's funny. So sometimes if you're going through self-care, why am I saying that? I don't know why I said that. Other than a lot of times we don't know what those experiences are that are going to make us have stress. And if you're doing something for self-care and it doesn't serve you, stop it. Find a different group. Because I had even told my husband, I was like, that may not be the kickball thing for you because this was an official. So I'm like, are we going to have to go through this a couple times? I don't want to. That's not stress reducing for you.
Right.
That was the whole point of us coming here, you know?
Exactly.
So just keeping that in mind. Like some things, if they're not stress reducing, just stop. Find another group, find another therapist, find another masseuse, anything that is making you not feel comfortable.
It's like, completely okay to say no to things that aren't serving you. I think oftentimes we feel like we have a responsibility or like this thing can't go on without me, or I can't not do that. And it's like, no, you can, right? But
especially to take care of yourself.
Now, there's a difference between someone correcting you, right, and someone like formally accosting you or making you feel less than, right? And so I find that people, especially those that go to specific houses of faith, if they're being corrected, they're like, oh, nope, can't do it. I was supposed to do this for my self-care. I'm supposed to feel better about myself. But there is some self-care in correction, right? We wouldn't continue to go to a therapist if they keep telling us that we're okay, right? There are times when my therapist will absolutely tell me that I am wrong.
Right.
And I'll sit there like this. looking stupid, right? But it causes me to make a change because it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That's different from me saying this thing just isn't serving me. I don't feel good when I go here consistently. And we find it a lot with families, right? One would think that spending time with your family would make you feel better, would be a form of self-care, being in community with those that you love. But to your point about you wouldn't think that a parent would hurt you, if you're in space with family members that are continually making you feel bad about yourself, it is okay to pull away.
Yeah. And not go to every cookout.
Not call them, like, right? That is okay if you need to protect yourself. Figure out, with, a trusted friend, advisor, therapist, whomever, right? Is it me? Is it them? And if you've landed on the fact that it is them every time, it is perfectly okay to pull away. So,
and it could be both of those things, right? It could be, yes, I'm showing up toxic in that situation because I'm not putting the boundary of, I don't have to go there every weekend. And if I go Thanksgiving, I had listened to someone speaking on mindfulness, and she said, you can stay there for 15 minutes. She was like, you may only be able to tolerate your mom or your dad for 15 minutes. Purpose that this is going to be the best 15 minutes. I'm going to take my little dish. I'm going to take the drink. Oh my God, I'm so glad that I got to see you guys and put that as a boundary for you to.
There are some people that I will always bookend my interaction with them. I'll have something before I go to see them, and magically I have somewhere else to be. Right, because it will bookend what I need to do with you. I know that there's some time I would like to spend with you, but you got a time limit. And then it gives me an out. I have this thing planned. And that's okay. Again, that's a barrier for yourself because the barrier is for protection for you. The boundary protects you. It is not for the benefit of other people. That is also self-care. Putting boundaries in place. You can lift them or you can lower them however you see fit or however often you need to. It ain't for them, it's for you.
And it can change. I think for a certain period, you can be rigid. And then once you know where your comfort is with it, then expand it. But yes, at first, I think you definitely do need to be rigid. I'm going to go to the gym every day at this time. I'm sorry if you need a ride or whatever. I just can't do it at that time.
Can't do it.
And then once you get that habit of I'm going to journal every morning at whatever time, then you could say, okay, I could probably do something else or add something else.
Or it becomes non-negotiable forever. A friend of mine, she has to start her morning journaling every morning. And she does it, it's like hour and a half of journaling.
I'm just now getting used to 5 minutes. And I had to make myself do that because I'd seen that was a great healing modality. Think about what you want to do for the day. Think about what your top goals are and how you want to. This Dr. Chatterjee, he gives 3 prompts. What you want to do for the day, how you want to show up, and what are your 3 top things you want to get done. Because I'll make like a whole 100 lists, and you're like, no,
there's no way you're going to do those
3. Pick those 3 things. That's what's important. That's what you put your energy. Sure. And then he does it at the end of the day. I haven't. I did it for like 3 months, and it never
stuck.
And
that's okay.
And I think I was getting more stressed trying to figure it out.
Right.
But I think I need to go back to that because it's good to have that as a sleep, like as a
dumping your ideas on paper before you go to bed, certainly.
But definitely not an hour and something. That's pretty good.
Yeah, she's dedicated. She's a writer.
Okay.
So it would, for sure. Writer and researcher.
So what are some of the things that you like to do for self-care?
One of my biggest things is therapy every Thursday at 12 noon. And I tell my team this at work. I have 7 people that report to me. Don't look for me at noon on Thursdays. And sometimes the session may be hard that I ain't coming back till 2 o'clock, right? So, but that is my time that I need to be completely focused on me. The example about, having the music up loud and lighting a candle and getting in the shower and just having like this whole aromatherapy experience, that is actually one of the things that I do. So if it's been a particularly hard day, I will do that. just invest in some really great pajamas, and just kind of vibe out through the rest of my evening.
That's good.
I love music, all kinds of music. It just depends on how I'm feeling that day. One day it could be gospel, another day it could be Earth, Wind, and Fire, another day it might be I don't know, Joss Stone, right? Like it could be really anything, and I will turn it up as high as I can get. And I live in an apartment, so I don't know how my neighbors feel about this, but I will just kind of zone out to music. It's one of my favorite forms of self-care. Listening to music and dancing, and that has been really helpful for me. Taking my medication on a regular basis is a form of self-care. I am at my best when I take. I have 3 medications that I have to take for my mental health, and I've been honest with this about this with my clients and patients, as well as anybody who asks me. And so I have a 4-fold diagnosis: anxiety, depression, ADHD, and PTSD. ADHD drives my car. If I do not take the medication for ADHD, I cannot thrive.
Okay.
I can survive. I can get through the day, but all the things that I have to do, and that I want to do, I have to take that medication. And so it's very important to me that I take my medicine as a form of self-care. And then the last thing is getting dressed. I have an entire closet full of clothes and shoes, and I used to call it a problem. But for me, it is actually a creative outlet that I get really excited about, putting together the different colors and accessories, and what glasses am I going to wear, and what shoes and what handbag, and all of those things can quite honestly get me out of bed in the morning. If I have an outfit that I'm really excited about wearing, going to a store and playing around in the clothes is something that's really bucket filling for me, but account emptying. And so I try to limit it.
I understand.
Because I don't enjoy, like, some people that like to shop and get dressed really like consignment shops and going to go. I don't like it. I enjoy being. I enjoy being in a boutique or at Nordstrom, or Nordstrom is my favorite place. Or
is it really? It's my favorite.
Tyson's.
A lot. I know the one that we have up here is not that great, and
it's falling.
And
then the one in Columbia is just one.
It's not enough that great. They do have a lot of perfumes. All of our Jacob. Okay, no.
But those are my favorite forms of self-care.
Okay, awesome. I think now that I've gotten a little bit away from being focused on working and doing and being, definitely working out, even though I haven't these past 2 weeks. I've just been so tired and down and stuff. Not down, but just not in a space where it's like I want to be around in the gym. Sometimes I can do my bike. I have a Peloton bike, but most times I like to go outside. So it's funny that you were saying about the music. I stopped walking with my phone because I had talked to a therapist, and she had showed me how nature affects your brain and stuff. So now I listen to the birds in the morning walking, and that helps. And then the birds used to annoy me. Annoy me. To the point where I was like, why won't you shut the hell up? But now that I'm refocused, it's like I can take my little dog for a walk. And that's like a good resetting. Because I used to even be like, oh, I need to listen to affirmations. Oh, I need to do this. But I've found that like that's the best for me to get it to a quiet place in the morning.
The nature has an incredible impact on our mental health. Even just looking at, I mentioned earlier, there's soundscapes on YouTube, but like
it really does,
the backgrounds on our computers of like the forest, that is not by accident, it's by design. That like just seeing the color green improves your mental health. And so being out in nature, going for walks, hearing the birds, So often we get caught up in the noise of
Yeah.
like these man-made things, right? Like somebody saying affirmations to you on a recording, or listening to a podcast or whatever the case may be, is somebody else's words and thoughts.
Yeah.
But to be completely in tune with the birds chirping and looking at the trees, and especially when we go from summer to fall and they start to change colors, being in tune with your creator in that time is 1,000% better than this man-made noise that we kind of put into our lives.
Definitely. And I think when you're on that self-discovery journey, there's like a lot of listening to books, listening to podcasts, especially if you're trying to make a podcast,
right?
Because then you got to figure out what you want to do. But it is a lot of different voices, which is why I'm like, I purposely decided not to be filtered, not to do all that stuff, because it's like, it's too much. Then it's like the dream that I wanted to do is now looking like someone else's. It's someone else's idea, really. But yeah, like I think when you're trying to get that healing, you are like, oh, if I get all the information, I'll hurry up. And this is part of self-care. And it is sometimes, but then sometimes it's good to just not have.
Just be all the stuff. Be with yourself, right? Like you are the I made a journal about 5 years ago, self-care journal. And I talked about how you're the CEO of your life, right? You can hire and fire as you wish, but you are the expert on you. You've quite literally known yourself since you were born. You may not remember all of it, especially the first 5 years, but you know you, right? And we go to people, to therapists and podcasts and books and all this, sometimes for affirmation and for some assistance. That's okay. But deep down, you know what's going to work for you. Unless you're being completely delusional, in which case,
I mean, sometimes it's okay to be delusional. That's why you go. That's why you go to this professional. You're allowed to be delusional.
Take your delulu,
and then they knock you
to the
right down.
Therapy lulu.
Yes. So it's funny because I started therapy in December for what I thought was this big grand problem. I was having a relationship problem with my siblings. And then it ended up being like, oh, wait, maybe I'm the fucked up person. And she was like, she literally told me, Roxana, she has an accent. Yes, these people are fucked up, but you're fucked up too. And I was like, I am. And I'm totally fine with that to a certain extent, because I feel like, and we don't give ourselves enough grace for this. Okay, I'm going to see if the therapist agrees with me. But I feel like sometimes you need that meltdown and that Katie Kaboom moment. Do you know about Katie Kaboom?
No.
It was like a cartoon. Do you remember Animaniacs?
Yes.
Do you know? Okay. So it was a skit on Animaniacs, and it was the daughter, a teenage daughter, and she'd be fine. But then, like, the mom didn't have dinner, or she couldn't go to this thing. And then all of a sudden, she'd be like, hey, Mom, blah, blah, blah.
Like Amanda Please from All That.
Did she do that?
She would, like, completely lose it.
Yeah, I think it's okay to lose your shit.
She would completely lose it. She come back. And so, like I was saying, right? Like, she would,
Is that okay?
Having those severe highs and lows,
I see what you're saying. Okay.
No, those things are not
okay. I knew when she was saying, you mean the highs and the lows.
Completely dysregulated.
I see what you're saying. So, fun fact. I went to the doctor. I thought that I was going through menopause. And I needed medication for that. She's like, no, you're depressed. So we're going to give you medication for this.
Interesting.
And we'll see what your levels come back as. But she's like, yeah, doesn't look like that. Yeah. So it's funny, like, even though I had worked in mental health all this time, and I wasn't a therapist, but just trying to connect people. But I was like, wait, is that depression? Wait, if 2 + 2 is 4. But I think depression also, because I was angry, because I went to my therapist because I was angry. So I'm like, why is it that I'm depressed? And we did the screening again, and she was like, yeah, because she had talked me through it. It was kind of like, the score was higher.
Yeah, there's a book called Black Pain. It Only Looks Like We're Not Hurting. And in maybe chapter 1 or 2, the author talks about how for people of color, depression often shows up as rage because that's the only emotion that gets some feedback, right? Like think about it. When you're in school, I'm a product of the Baltimore City Public School System. The only emotion that a teacher, a paraprofessional, a principal will respond to is if a student was angry. Because they would fight, they would knock things over, they would argue. But for anybody else, especially me, I can remember being depressed as young as 13, anxious as young as 5, 6 years old. I was quiet. I was considered good.
Right.
And so if you're trying to get somebody to just hear your cry for help,
right,
anger is automatically going to come up. In addition to that, right? Like we then tell ourselves, I'm angry. No, you're really depressed. Right. Yeah. And here's why. And let's walk through that. And so she was absolutely correct.
Yeah. And I think I kind of wasn't ready for the boundaries that I had to put, like the transitions. And I think and I'm saying that because a lot of people don't know, like on the journey, it's like this hard thing of what is my problem right now? Yeah. What do I think is the problem? And then I need somebody else to help me navigate through it.
Yeah. 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 And all that is okay. Nobody sails a ship alone. Like I love to cruise. There's so many crew members on that ship to make it operate, to keep it happy. If you can't go to your, I love Royal Caribbean, so you go to Coco Cay if you're doing like a Caribbean cruise. And so if you can't stop at Coco Cay, they have to do a full-on shift with the entire team to keep the fun going on the ship because it has to stay afloat. Yeah. And it can't dock at Coco Cay for whatever reason. Maybe it's high winds or whatever might be happening. Same thing with your life, right? Like you can't sail your ship by yourself. You know your ship, right? The captain knows the boat, the ins and outs of it, and how many people it takes to direct said ship. But you need those other people. You need your cruise director. You need the person that's going to make the food. You need and in the kitchen. You need the people that are going to make all the shows happen, and that's okay, right? You can't sail the ship by yourself.
You just said something. Food and self-care.
Oh boy.
It's okay to spend more money on your food. Because for a long time I would think, I'm not going to buy organic. It's too expensive. And I have to do this, this, and this. Or I don't want to get the nice glass. I'll just drink out of a paper thing. And all of those things are part of self-care. And all of those things are part of you feeling better.
For sure. Absolutely. I mean, the glass makes stuff taste better, period. I mean,
again, it's like so pretty.
We were working poor, but my mother would not drink out of anything that was not a glass. Like she would literally pour things into her glass. And to this day, I do the exact same thing. There are no paper plates and cups in my house. And so, yes, it is completely okay to do that. I can't cook at all.
At all, Nia?
I keep trying.
How does your baby stay alive?
Lots of DoorDash, and his grandparents cook. So I make sure that he has a really great relationship with his grandparents, that they cook for him. But that is okay. Yeah, just spend a little extra.
I'm trying to think. When you say DoorDash, are you making sure you're picking stuff that's good, or like sometimes you do junk and then?
So I have a little boy. Little boys eat junk. It's just a thing. I've talked to all the boy moms that I know. They're like, they only like chicken and fries.
Chicken nuggets and fries were like, I had to go to Costco and buy it in bulk.
Absolutely. It's a thing for little boys. I mean, it's like men, meat and potatoes, right? I think it's the same, right? Like your manly man wants a steak and mashed potatoes, right? And so I will let him have those things, but I do purchase like fruits and keep those in the house. Our snacks are relatively healthy. We only drink water for him. Every now and then he'll get a soda. So there's balance.
No, I was just asking for selfish reasons because I was like, if there's somewhere that I could be ordering from.
But for myself, I'll get a little off the rails every now and then. The older I get, I keep getting like my heartburn gets worse and worse. So I'm like, okay,
I noticed that.
You got it.
I can't do all the crap that I can't even drink certain drinks. Yeah. So I don't even drink soda for real because it doesn't. It just breaks me out. All kind of stuff. So
all of those things are true. So I try to make sure that I'm setting a good example so that once he is able to get out of that meat and potato situation, he'll know.
And he will.
His school also feeds him very well. I want to go to school with him to eat his lunch.
What do they eat?
Oh my gosh. They they'll always have a soup of the day. So like one day it was like kale and white bean. I was like, oh my gosh, Jackson, that sounds amazing. He didn't like it. And then they'll have like a baked ziti, or they'll have like a grilled chicken breast and a salad. And they always have a fruit, and so he eats very well at school. Yeah,
I kind of want to go to his school.
I know, it's amazing. He won't let me come.
So, and I forgot to go back to this. Is your journal still available for people to purchase?
It's a great question. I don't know.
Was it on Amazon before?
No, it was. I had a Jaren. Jaren designed it for me. Jaren is a friend of mine.
Wait, I have to look to see if it can help me do a original podcast cover.
Absolutely.
Why did I not think of that? Write that down.
But he designed it for me. It was on my website. I have to check to see if it's on there.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like $5.
And I think that those prompt things, items are good when you're starting out until you get used to it.
For sure. You need, again, you can't sell your ship alone.
Yeah. We had already talked about different, if you have different diagnoses and self-care a little bit, but like, I guess specific when you have diagnosis, like my son who openly talks about his diagnosis, he has ADHD. He has bipolar, and there's times when I know he's in a low, and he may not know he's in a low, and I have to be like, Mike, come on, let's go outside. Yeah. Come sit with me on the couch. So I'm not only a bully to you.
It's just who you are.
But because I know like he's in a low and that'll be good for him, I'll be like, just sit out here with us. And then he doesn't stay out there like the whole movie. Yeah. He'll do maybe 5 minutes and then he'll do whatever he wants to do. Yeah. Like, what are some of the things if somebody has a diagnosis? I know you said taking their medication. What other things can you think of that would be helpful for them?
I think exactly what you do for your son is really big, right? Have your trusted people that can check on you. There is an app called Not Okay that two really amazing Black teens, they got to be in their 20s by now, but they created it and that you can just, with the push of a button, let your friends know that you're not doing okay and they know to check on you. It's just me and my son. And so I keep an extra door key on my door handle, like one of the realtor lock boxes. And I've given the code to my trusted people that if ever I'm low, right? Like this isn't necessarily like self-care in the moment, but if you all haven't heard from me, you can get into my house. And so that's, again, putting that barrier in place for myself. Yeah. That there are some moments where I can't answer the phone. I'm way too low. You all can get in the house and take care of things. And so again, having those trusted people that can take care of you, knowing what you need before you need it. Right. And so that self-care only comes through working with that therapist, doing the journaling. And so for me, it was, I know I need to have this lockbox because I will go dark and people won't be able to find me.
Do people ever know you're dark?
Yes, I don't answer.
Okay.
I completely just don't respond. And so there are some people that can still get an answer out of me, whereas there are other people I will completely ice out. Yeah. But they're like, all right. The red flag
wave is like that. Like when she's depressed.
Yeah.
You got to go to her house, knock on the door. Where if I'm dark, you may not know that I'm dark. And my outlook is because you'll ask me something and I'll be like, it's terrible. Yeah. I wish they'd fucking die. I don't know. Whatever that response, it's like, it's not my your regular response. Right? And my kids will be like, what in the? And they may know. And then sometimes they'll circle back and it's like, all right, we know that you're not okay right now. But
you got to know what your coping skills are too. And so for me, before I even get to dark, typically what happens first is my environment is a mess. Like my room there'll be clothes all over the place. The dishes won't be washed. My clothes haven't been washed. My bathroom, all the things on my counter are just all over the place. And that's the first thing to go is my environment. Okay. And so I only learned that through therapy, like being able to step back and look and be like, oh, wait. So that's my first indicator that I'm not okay. And then after that is my appetite. And so I won't eat. And I may have something to drink, like water, or like a juice. And then the third thing when I'm down and out is I'm in the bed. Okay. Can't get up. But that's the stuff that comes with therapy. Right. And like journaling and looking at the situation. And you don't know that until you come out of it. Right. And you're like, okay, so then what was the thing that happened that made all of this start to unravel? Right. And so like I watched a documentary the other night with I think it All About Pop, but it was about auto-tune. And so T-Pain started using auto-tune in the early 2000s, and he talked about how Usher pulled him aside on a first class flight to the BET Awards and told him that he had single-handedly ruined rap music and ruined it for singers. And that started a 4-year depression for T-Pain. We would have never known, right?
He was on the Peloton app. Yes. He's so upbeat and like awesome. Wow.
Yeah. So it took him some time to work with a therapist. And so now T-Pain says everything that I make is for me, right? Like I make it because I don't care what the rest of you think about it because I saw what happened to me.
Sad to me because his music is like,
I mean, you can't experience a party without hearing at least one T-Pain song. Wow. Yes. Yeah. And so learn those.
And just thinking like he was operating, still doing music, still doing all these things.
Yeah. And I mean, so many other people used auto-tune before. They just weren't talking about it. He studied it and made it his sound. And so, but he wouldn't have had that realization unless he had gone to therapy and then explored, okay, what was the stuff? Exactly.
Why do you think as a singer who's a Black genius that this one thing is killing your career? Yeah. Like, that's just so narcissistic.
Also. It is.
But anyways.
I feel like Usher was fit to tell him that and it didn't work, but that's just me.
Right.
Conspiracy theorist. But yeah, he had done some work. Yeah. He had done some work to figure out what precipitated the decline. And then from that, his coping skill was still in music and video games and just being the nerd that he is. And he's fully leaned into it and made a career out of
it. Thinking about people's words. And I think that's why the journaling part for me is good because I want to show up as love, light, sometimes patience, especially when I'm in the car. Acting the damn fool trying to get to work on 95 now that the bridge is closed. But anyways, thinking about that, like, and you and I feel like had these moms that were like really a big part of us on our journey, coaching us when we were good, but also when we were not good, to be like, get your shit together. How do you think we should, like, because everyone doesn't have that experience. That's why I'm saying that. Yeah. Like, how do they filter when somebody might be telling them, like, you know, you're supposedly on this self-care journey, but you're supposedly on this journey for healing. Oh, you're supposedly on this journey for self-improvement and you're still crappy, or you're still doing this, or you're still doing that.
I mean, why are you in my business like that? Like
Tabitha says that's my business.
That's my business, right? I think there's this viral reel going around where people take a cup of like coffee, like black coffee, and then they take a cup of water and they pour the cup of water into the black coffee, and some of the coffee comes out, but it's still a little dark in that cup. I think that a couple of things, right? Like as you're doing this work of healing, it's going to take more than one cup of water to clear out all that filth that can be like so deep within inside of you. And so my therapist and I talk about often like undoing the roots, right? Like there's the surface stuff, right? So I may be able to, stop drinking or stop cussing so much while I'm driving, right? But it may be those roots of laziness and those roots of trauma that I didn't even put there.
Yeah.
Right. Like it takes years for a tree to really have roots in the ground. And so when people come at you while you're doing this work of healing, remind them, right? Like there are some things that I'm unearthing that it's not going to be gone in the matter of a 2-month period in therapy. Oh, I thought you were supposed to be in therapy. You need to go to therapy. Maybe you should too.
Right.
Because
why are you saying that?
Why are you in my business? Because maybe something that I am working on is now triggering you.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to deal with that. Take that up with your God. I'm going to keep doing the work that I'm doing for me. It's not going to be overnight.
And I think for parents, because I think I'm so aware of it because of the work that you've done. Dr. Bruce, like just talking about how we're supposed to care for young people. And it was stuff that I wouldn't have known. So I'm like so grateful to have gone through my kids being teenagers at the time I was with you guys, or young people, that is that like that moment of not saying like, what is your problem? Like, what is going on or whatever? Because just like, who would have thought that T-Pain would have been affected by a random ass backwards comment
on first class flight to the BET Awards, like the culture's biggest night, and I just got assaulted by the culture.
Yeah, and we got to really be like, as parents, the words that we deposit in the kids, because and if they check us about it, y'all, Lord Jesus. Yeah, it might hurt you, but you need to sit and listen
for sure
and accept it, because that's how they've experienced us. And I think that's like an important part of the journey is, am I the toxic? It's like a meme going around. Am I the problem? Is it me? Yes.
It might be.
And it could also be the other people at the same time.
Correct. Absolutely.
Most of the time it's other people. Never mind.
It's never me. It's never me.
No. So I so appreciate all the gems that you've dropped with us. What are some of the things that you probably didn't get to say that I know you're Nia on purpose. So you came here with a message. What is the message that you want to leave us with?
I live life on your terms, right? And I think that's the ultimate self-care. That living life on your terms doesn't mean you have to give everybody the middle finger, right? But it looks like what conditions need to exist in order for you to have optimal mental health and wellness.
Yeah.
And drive that car, right? Steer that ship.
Yeah.
Without apology.
Yeah.
And that is the ultimate self-care. We find that people, and I've been victim of this, that we make ourselves out to be who our partner wants us to be, or how other people want us to exist in the world, and then we wake up one morning and find that that's not comfortable for us. And so living life out loud and on purpose, no pun intended, and the life that you've designed creates a space in which you'll be happy. Life is still going to life on you. It never shows up and says, hey, it's now a good time for you to lose that job. And that's not going to happen, because I mean, who would say, yeah, it's a great time, take my job, right? Life is still going to life on you. But if you've created a life that is however that needs to look for you, whether it's luxurious or if it's just, financial freedom, or it is like a slow morning that leads to a fast afternoon and evening.
Yeah.
Whatever that looks like for you, create that and walk it.
Oh, that's so good. We talked about this a little bit before we started about reliable resources and additional support. I know hotlines, we both talked about 988 because were you working on 988 as well in BMHA?
A little bit.
Okay, so 988 is a nationwide hotline. So it replaced the suicide prevention line.
Yep.
It encompasses so much more than just suicide prevention, because did you know that they will have support services come out to you? So let's say somebody's having a meltdown, a Katie Kaboom meltdown, but maybe they're threatening to hurt some other people themselves. Instead of the police coming out, 988, and it's totally free, and they have follow-up services. So those first, I think it's 3 or 4 therapy sessions are free, and it's no cost or extra for you. I know you said the Not Okay app for just thinking about some of the apps. If you're looking for therapists, there's a whole slew of apps that you could use now. I can't think of the BetterHelp. I don't know if that one is culturally affirming. We are Black women, so we can only speak to that.
Therapy for Black girls.
Therapy for Black girls. I had told Nia Psychology Today, growth therapy. Google something that can help you find a therapist. For support groups, Nia said
NAMI, the National Alliance on Mental Illness, has a variety of support groups, both in person and virtual, in almost every region, led by volunteers and individuals that have experienced the same thing that you're coming to the group for. So like, for example, if you're trying to support a family member with mental illness, or if you yourself are living with depression, they have those groups. Roberta's House here in Baltimore has a lot of support groups specifically for grief and loss. And there's also Grief Share. Griefshare.org is a national support group for grief in any way, right? So the loss of a job, loss of a spouse, loss of a mother, loss of a pet, an uncle,
because
brother.
grief is not just somebody dying. Yeah. I mean, it could be a different diagnosis. Like, I think we are versed in mental illness, but like for somebody, it might be devastating to be bipolar. It might be devastating to be ADHD. Because you just think that means you're showing up in a certain way and you've disappointed people, which is not your problem. It's not your problem. However, if people can't deal with you, if you didn't take your medicine one day, or if you're a little bit more hyper, like, that's a them problem. It's not. Now, if you consistently choose to be abusive to them, yes, they have to put a boundary on you. But I don't think that means like if you forget your medicine one day, 2 days, that means that people need to treat you a certain way or anything like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Take the medicine.
Yeah, take the medicine. Take the medicine. And so one of our therapists, I can't remember her name, she's a child therapist, was talking about that. Like, one of the requirements for her teenage person living in the house was you have to take your medicine. That's a boundary for me. I don't want to have to deal with that, which is totally.
And if the medication makes you feel like sick, or you feel like it's too much, have the conversation. I tell my clients this when I was practicing all the time. Like, it's okay to say, this medicine worked for what it was supposed to work for, but it made me gain weight. It made me, feel nauseous all the time. Can we, it's called titrating, right? Can we go a little bit down on the milligrams, or change completely and see how that works? You got to figure out what's going to work best for your body.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you so much, Nia. Where can my listeners find you?
Sure. So you can find me on Instagram at Collectively On Purpose, and online at onpurposewithnia.org.
Awesome. And hopefully you enjoyed this podcast. Please like, subscribe, make a comment so that other people, and share this with someone that is on their journey, and this can be a support too. And also tell them about Nia's site and work. And so that way we can really help each other grow, learn, and be real and unfiltered, get the support we need. So love y'all. Bye.
Bye. Good. Good.